silence followed by the pledge. All right, we're now open for public comment.
Oh, yeah.
Do it all at one time.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we're open for public comment. Sarah, can you please read?
All right. Public comment periods will be held at the beginning of the scheduled meeting and limited to a maximum of 30 minutes. Each person desiring to speak shall clearly state their name and will have a maximum of 3 minutes to make his or her remarks. A speaker may not speak more than once during the same public comment period, and unused time may not be yielded to another speaker. To avoid repetition, groups of individuals who expect to have the same or similar comments are encouraged to select a spokesperson to speak on their behalf. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. The board should refrain from engaging in dialogue except to the extent necessary to clarify the speaker's position. The board shall not entertain questions from the audience, and discussions between speakers and members of the audience shall be prohibited. Speakers shall maintain proper decorum and shall make their comments in a civil manner. Personal attacks and use of obscene or profane language are prohibited. Speaker comments should be limited to subjects that are within the board's jurisdiction. Actions on items brought up during public comment period will be at the discretion of the board.
Okay. Public comment?
Santa Vasquez, and we just want to thank you all for your term and as in the last session of your terms. I thank you for your service in this last term.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was sweet.
Rebecca Brook, 5220 Christian Light Road. I'd like to echo Dana's comment, Mr. Coker, for your service. Do appreciate it, and hope you consider some other public service in the future. And thank you all for signing up and doing another term. What I wanted to say is I'm very thrilled about the work that you all did to get this fifth person put on board. Very happy about that. As we grow, I'm sure there's going to be places that we need help, you need help in, and we had discussed this for voter registration and marketing focus, and I'm sure there's other things that I'm not aware of. Two things that I want to talk about, and I'm hoping to hear today, is how we will implement the voter ID, the new voter ID law, and what kind of marketing you're going to do to get that out, what kind of training that you're going to do to use the machine, the availability of the machine. That's what I hope to hear today. And secondly, I hope that if Senate Bill 747 passes, that you all do the same kind of education for the public about what that means in terms of their absentee ballot situations, the early voting one-stop, not one-stop anymore. Make sure that they know about that, and any of the other changes that that bill will propose. I know they don't give you any money to do that, but somehow we've got to get that out there to the public. Thank you. Let me just say this. As the chair of the Democratic Party, we will be doing our job too, but I think everybody will have to do their job to get that out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony Spears, 1334 McLean Chapel Church Road. Just gonna echo what she just said, and she said that the Democratic Party will be doing what they need to do. I'd like to know, make sure that we are doing what you say do, and not have any conflict going back and forth between the parties. One saying one thing and one saying another thing. I want to make sure we get all the information from you all, because y'all are coming down from the General Assembly, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that we both, now that I'm NAACP, ain't got to stand in the middle and not be Democrat or Republican, you got to be in the middle. I just just want to make sure that we're driving the same information, because I came in and got a stack of voter registrations and they're already no good, so, and that's scary, wanting to see what, do you have the other ones in yet? Because want to see what, 1 or 2 lines that they changed, that they just got to get rid of all the old voter registration cards that we already have and them passed out to people and trying to get those back. Because I don't want those cards to go into you all and you look at them and it says NAACP. That's where they come from, because you track them, right? That's what it's named, you know. So that kind of stuff. We're going to be looking to you. And even I just heard about a 5th position. And the thing I was thinking, why a 5th position? Now they're trying to put us back to 7 days. So, and who came up with that? We've been fussing about 12, 15, and 17 days for the longest. Now all of a sudden, 7 days, and then the possibility you can't do same day and vote, so it goes in another pile. The 5th person needs to be really trained well, because it sounds like a lot of that's going to fall on the 5th person. We're watching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Anyone else? Okay, so we're gonna close, public comment. Now moving to the review and approval of the May 2nd, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
So everybody has a copy of the minutes that I sent out via email. You can review them now, if you haven't already. If you're happy with them, a motion to approve. While you're looking at that, I do want to just go ahead and add to Tony's comment, any registration forms that have gone out will still be accepted. They want them to use the new forms, but if we receive the old forms, we will accept them and process them. Just make sure if you have them and you're handing them out, that they know that some of the language is changing. But the meat of the form is the same.
How long will we be able to accept them?
We can accept them pretty much forever.
Okay.
Yeah, we still accept forms that some places still have from 20 years ago.
Okay.
And I don't even know where they still have those old forms that are just this big.
People aren't voting or registering.
But if we get them, we process them. Do what was that, Allison?
I said people aren't registering that often if they can't, 20 years old.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of these groups and organizations just have these old forms. So the forms that you have, we will still accept. Yeah, the new form is online. But yeah, so the minutes are in front of you.
You know, I've read them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to, cause
Well, I'll make a motion to approve then.
All right.
I'll second.
Last time we get to look over there and say.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so here is the copy to be signed.
So Claire, while we're signing, any thoughts on some of those comments?
Yeah,
regarding?
In my updates, I have some
Okay.
information for you guys. All right, so as you guys are aware, this is the last meeting for this appointed board. Our next meeting will be in July when we have our swearing-in ceremony for the new board. So today, what we pretty much have for everybody is just basically some updates, just to keep everybody on the same page with where we are. First of all, the budget, the 2023-24 fiscal year budget has been approved. And in that budget, we were allotted that 5th position. So we're really excited about that. We're really excited to have another person in the office to help not just take some of the weight off of the current staff, but also so that we can increase some of those other programs, especially registration drives. Outreach is going to be some of our #1 topics that this position is going to help with. I know that's something that the board has been really adamant in making sure we have more outreach, more education, more advertising opportunities. So hopefully, having this position, we can go ahead and start planning some of these events to help with education, especially since there is so much changing with the voter ID as well as some of these other potential bills that are floating around. As far as the potential bills that are floating around, I have already talked to Brent Trout and the Assistant County Manager Mike Morrow to let them know that some of these bills could affect us budget-wise. And so they are aware that going forward through this election season, that we may have to come to the commissioners or come to them for any tweaks in some budget related things. So they are very much aware that there may be a change. Especially when it comes to, for example, one of the bills talks about all same-day registrations need to be done through a provisional. So we already know that's going to cause a lot more man hours in the office. It's going to cause a lot of man hours at our provisional meeting to go through those, verify them, pull those out. So I've made them aware that we may need additional funds for, the staffing that are here, as well as bringing more election workers to help with those tasks. So even though most of these bills haven't been approved yet or haven't made it through both houses, House and Senate, we are still looking at them and very much aware of what this is going to entail cost-wise for us. The sites are going to have more people. We're going to have more laptops, more resources. So we are definitely looking at all the potential situations that can arise from a lot of these bills. And so, again, the county is also aware of that as well. Does anyone have any questions about the budget before I move forward?
This isn't about the budget, but did the voter ID one pass already?
Yes, so voter ID did pass because the NC Supreme Court overrode and reenacted that. So they
Okay, so that was the one from before.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah, so what is already passed.
So if you're confused,
Yeah, so the voter ID is already passed, the felon voting rights is already changed.
Right.
And then the redistricting, so there's a possibility we'll be redistricting before the filing in December. So those are ones that we are already have in the pipe to make sure that we account for. The other bills I gave you at the last meeting, and then this new one that was filed June 1st, Senate Bill 747, and I'll email this to you guys, are the ones that we're looking at, seeing how those will potentially affect us.
And that voter ID, I think it's take place this upcoming election.
Correct.
This year.
Mhm. It is
Yes.
effective for the municipals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so the next reminder or just information is just to let you guys know that filing will begin for the municipal election. It starts June on July 7th and runs until noon on July 21st. And so all the towns in Harnett County will have an election this year. So that'd be October election will be Irwin and Dunn, and then the November election will be Angier, Coates, and Lillington. So I expect that we'll have a good turnout of people filing, at least the first and last day of filing. Again, this board, your term ends the end of June, and then our swearing-in ceremony is July 18th. So there's going to be a little bit of a gap there, but I believe if something comes up, then I can still reach out to you guys, especially since both of you are going to be reappointed.
And this says that the swearing is at noon?
It is at noon.
Is that like by statute?
Yes,
Like we have to do
it'll be at
Nice.
noon. And that should be on the calendar that I've given you guys.
It
I'm
is.
going to update the calendar with more information now that we have more information, especially for the December filing and dates into 2024.
so you're gonna email it to me?
Yeah. I'll email it to you, and then I'll have a printed copy at the swearing-in ceremony at the next meeting. For everybody, I'll have a packet of things at the next meeting. The state board conference, I've emailed most of you about it. Sorry, Liv. That'll be August 13th through 15th. So again, if you're able to come, just let me know. That way I can make sure that we have the rooms and everything booked up for,
And
blocked
it's
off.
in
that.
Charlotte?
Yeah,
Concord.
Concord,
Uh-huh.
correct.
Which is where they had it several years ago, same place?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, because they had it at the Embassy Suites at the big compensation center. Can't talk this afternoon.
What were those dates again? 13?
August 13th through the 15th. So the 13th is a Sunday, and that's when we'll check in. And then the actual conference will be that Monday, Tuesday. Mhm. Yes. All right, so the next item, again, was photo ID. So again, as we've already mentioned, photo ID is going to be required for the municipal elections, barring any kind of injunction that may come out of it. You know, in the election world, we kind of play it day by day, depending on what the legislators and the courts require us to do. But we are already making preparations for photo ID. Me and Sheena both worked the previous election where it was required, so we have some experience with the past. When this first came around in 2019, when it first came around. So we know a lot of the rules are going to be similar to what it was in 2019. But the state board is still going through their rulemaking public comment period. It's going on now through June 23rd. So once they have completed their rulemaking meetings and policies, they'll send down to us a numbered memo that outlines everything that we're going to be required to do, or processes for election day, processes for provisionals of that nature. And so as soon as we get those, I always forward those numbered memos to the board, so you guys will have those as well. One of the key factors with the voter ID is that the county boards are supposed to supply free voter ID to anybody who needs it. We did have equipment, Bondo equipment in 2019 that we used to make photo IDs at no cost to voters. But the state board is working on an upgrade to that software, and so until they're done with that, we cannot create the free IDs. So what they have told us to do in the meantime is to forward people to the DMV for the free IDs that they
Good
provide.
luck with that.
And I know DMV has a wait time, but the state board is also working with schools, county government, as well as tribals to get those IDs approved. So there will be more options for voters aside from just a DMV driver's license that they'll be able to use. They also, in 2019, they had a impediment form. Told you I can't talk today. And so basically, if somebody comes to vote and they have there's a natural disaster or they lost their wallet, there's impediments that they can sign off so that they can still vote that day if they don't have their photo ID. And if they just left their photo ID at home, they can always do a provisional and come back prior to our canvass, and those ballots can be counted. So there's going to be lots of options, and once we get that directive from the state board, I'll be able to forward that to you guys. That way you'll have it in writing from them, and that's what we're going to base a lot of our outreach off of. In 2019, the state board did a public information session in every county. So I'm thinking they may try to do that again this time. But again, there's not a lot of money coming with these legislations, so I'm not sure if they will or not. But we are going ahead and planning in our outreach to have at least some sort of education seminar, definitely locally within us, but also in conjunction with the county. The county information office, I know they're starting their public outreach sessions as well, and so we can tag on to those, as well as the town festivals and things of that nature. So we're definitely already in the works of how we're going to incorporate this and get that information out to the public. Are there any other questions about photo ID?
Have you internally decided how we're going to implement the information out outside of that to remind people, because Some don't read newspapers.
Yeah.
Some don't.
And that's
And
why
not
I feel
only-
like the education seminars, I think, will help. Of course, we're
That'll
gonna
reach
do,
a certain amount.
yeah, and we're still gonna do basically what we've done before with the water bills, our website, the things that we typically do, but also trying to do that outreach, like we had talked before. Hopefully having the fifth position, we can do some, like, where we reserve this room and have like an educational night where people can come out. And then also working with the parties, working with the schools, working with other organizations to try to help spread that.
In the water bill, will you bullet point the various options so that people are.
So we will bullet point what we can. If the list of acceptable IDs in 2019 was a very long list. So depending on how they format it, it will be listed out in the water bills, but we may have to like do a shorted version and then be like, for like maybe the top ones, like the driver's license, the schools, the government, the tribals, and then say for more options, go to our website. And then on our website, we'll have it laid out,
And that's
more
the other
detail.
thing I was gonna say, the website has to be very.
Yeah, it'll be very detailed. And typically what we did in 2019, a lot of our website, we had it tagged straight to the state board. That way we weren't miscommunicating something by trying to retype or re-paraphrase what the state board's putting out. So a lot of what we're gonna do is really gonna be helping push their language out, as best we can as far as the advertising and print material.
Yeah, I've noticed the paper over in Dunn, the Daily Record, they have a section of Daily Digest. And the county board of elections, education, the county commissioners, anything to the public is there. Should we require or can we start listing our meetings in that same digest? I mean, is there a reason that we would not want to?
I think the only reason we did it is because they don't do a lot of local boards, but I can certainly reach out and have that added.
Yeah, I was,
Because they don't do like the Board of Adjustment, the Planning Board,
No,
the
they don't
library
do that.
board, so they don't do a lot of local
Exactly.
boards. But I can certainly reach out if that's
But
something.
elections.
that's what we're doing here is so
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
more important.
Yeah, I could reach out to them, because I know before, they just wanted to do it, the ad, because they want to get paid for the
Of
ad.
course.
I think the Daily
Yeah.
Digest, I don't know if they pay for that, but I'll reach out to
Right.
them, because we can
Awesome.
certainly add that.
Also, WCKB, they still willing to give us as public PSA, if we give them a script and, they'll do it free in between times with no cost.
Yeah, I have a note for the radio stations, because we had talked about that during the last election, was adding those radio stations into our advertising.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful.
So, yeah, Senate Bill 747 came out June 1st, and like I said, I'm gonna email that to you, because it just was a lot of pages to, print out. So I'll send that to you, that way you can just read it and be familiar with it, should something come up, because you know how the legislators are, they may edit it numerous times before it gets approved, if it even gets approved. But just know that we are in the office looking at these bills and trying to see how this will affect us in the office. And then any information we get, I always forward it to you guys right away so that you guys are aware of it too.
Sounds great. Good plan.
So unless there's any questions, that's all the updates I have. But we do have a need for closed session to discuss personnel.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we go into closed session for the purpose.
Hey, Bobby, but can I just ask you something real quick?
Outside of public comment? Public comment is closed.
So, well, I'll tell you all about it when we, I just wanted to say it in the presence of everybody, when you was talking about the voter ID with the,
Okay.
driver's license.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I think motion to we go to closed session for discussion. Purpose discussing personnel.
Okay.
I'll second. Since Mr. Coker's not paying attention.
Going into closed session.
We're all ready.
Alright, we have, a motion second, any discussion? All those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? It is 6:01 and we are in closed session.
Did we take too long?
Yeah, okay. So we are now back in open session. And with no other business to discuss, is there a motion to adjourn?
For your
So
last
moved.
thing, and I'll second.
All right, Betsy McCoy.
All in favor?
All in favor?